Hello and welcome back to another version of Word from the Bird. These videos have been a lot of fun. The first one we did was with Tim Lucas about birding. Last week, the last one we did was with Jessica Heidbert about OFSAA Girls Volleyball and Girls Volleyball here at HDCH. And while we were doing that, and then after we had a thought, you know, some of the work that's being done behind the scenes on the OFSAA event is being done by students. So why not get some of the students who are doing some of the work behind the scenes to come in and tell us about what's going on and how they're preparing for OFSAA volleyball that's coming in March. And with me today is Julia Steenbeek. Julia is a grade 11 student in communications tech. And she's got a pretty big assignment, and we're going to go through what that assignment was and the amount of work she did to get it to where it is today. And we'll actually get to see some of the work that she's actually produced. And we'll just talk about the learning process and all of that. How's it going, Julia?
It's good.
Yeah, good. Thanks for joining us. So hopefully everybody's really excited right now to hear what was the assignment that you had to do.
I was asked to make the logo for OFSAA this year.
Okay, so you get asked to make the logo. Do you know what OFSAA is before you even start?
Not really.
Okay, so you had to figure out what is OFSAA.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the requirements and everything.
Right, so there are some requirements for the logo. You're going to get to design something, but what are some of the limitations you had? What couldn't you do? What were the things you had to do?
We couldn't change the OFSAA logo from OFSAA.
Okay.
That was a big part.
Okay, so you put that in, you had to put OFSAA into a logo for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of working for OFSAA as much as you are working for HDCH.
Yeah.
Okay, so your assignment, just if I get this clear, was to create the official logo for this year's girls volleyball tournament, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's a big deal. So Julia, you get the assignment, I'm guessing it was about 2 months ago?
Yep.
Okay, and so what do you have to do at the very beginning? Like, just start walking us through this process. You get the assignment, then what?
I started thinking about what images I wanted on the OFSAA logo. I wanted to draw in Hamilton and volleyball, like make those the two prominent things on the OFSAA logo. So I had to figure out like what was Hamilton known for.
Okay.
So one of my first ideas was, steel, but then my teacher, Mr. Blylevin, he told me to like move away from that because that's what Hamilton's trying to do. They're trying to not be known as like the Steel City.
Okay, cool.
So that was one of the things I had to try and find out what we were known for.
Okay, so just if I stop, you're not just branding HDCH, you're not just, if in volleyball, you're not just branding OFSAA, but you're also branding Hamilton.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I never thought about it that way. So this is, you're working on a pretty interesting logo.
Yeah.
So what were some of the images then you went to? So you said volleyball, but what were some, and then Hamilton, what were some of the Hamilton images you wanted to get?
I like the idea of having a skyline silhouette.
Yeah.
And also the Lancaster. So.
The Lancaster, that's definitely a Hamilton, special Hamilton image.
Yeah.
So you were able to capture those in the logo.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in a minute we'll get through there. We're going to look at some of the images that she actually designed. So, but what were some other things? Let's stay at the beginning. So you wanted to get Hamilton, you wanted to brand it, you wanted to make it a volleyball thing. Mm-hmm. So you got your images. What else did you do? What were some other things that you were working on?
I was trying to figure out what program I needed to use.
Okay.
Different technical things like that.
So this is software. You had to go search out software. Mm-hmm. Did your computer that you were working on have the software you needed?
No.
Oh.
No.
So what did you have to do?
Well, there was only one computer in the school that had this particular software, which is Photoshop.
Okay.
And so that's in the art room. So I couldn't be in the classroom with my whole class for the last couple months.
Oh my.
So, but it's a really expensive software.
Right.
So it makes sense that only one computer has it.
Right. So you get to go now and work. You're working independently on this logo.
Yeah.
You basically have spent about a month, roughly a month, working and just doing different versions of this logo.
Yeah.
When you did your first iteration of this logo, did you think you hit it? Did you think you got it?
Nope.
You knew you had to do it again.
Yeah.
How many times did you think you were going to have to do it to get it right?
It was hard to say because I didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted yet. But I think I knew it was going to be like 3 or 4 times.
Okay. The creative process is never done after once, correct?
Yeah.
Right. This is really cool. Can we look at some of the logos?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's go through some of the logos, and they're going to come up for you to have a look. So this first one we see here, this is your first logo, correct?
Yes.
So walk us through this. Clearly, the 3 design elements that you wanted, which is the skyline, volleyball, and the Lancaster.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't like about it is the fact that they're all just pasted in there. You know, they're not
Right.
they're not together.
There's no interconnectedness.
No, they're not. They don't make up a logo.
Right.
So that was really disappointing for me.
Okay. Did you present this, or did you just kind of say that this is the nice first one? I'll start again.
I presented it to the class, and I explained to them that I didn't like it at all, and I wanted to change like most of it.
Okay.
But the key images, like the skyline and the Lancaster, I wanted to keep.
Okay.
So that was the first rough draft.
What was some feedback, some specific feedback you got from your colleagues, your friends in class, as well as teachers?
I think they said they liked the silhouette of the skyline. They
Okay.
really liked that, and they liked the idea of the Lancaster. But they agreed with me that it wasn't tied in together.
Okay. So you go back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
We pull up next image, and we get to this one. Okay, so this is different. You're connecting now volleyball, but it doesn't look like you're connecting the volleyball to the city.
Yeah, that was one of the things I didn't like about it. The exploding volleyball was actually Mr. Blyleven's idea
Okay.
to make the volleyball the prominent thing in
And
the
Mr. Blyleven is
my teacher.
your teacher in the class. Okay, so you put this up again for presentation.
Yeah.
And a couple people come back with some feedback, one of which is get the Lancaster to come out of the volleyball.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you not like about this?
Well, it was getting to the point where I was just making a few edits. The exploding volleyball was an image that we got off like online.
Okay.
We bought it.
Okay.
But it wasn't exactly what we needed, so I needed to edit it a bit, and so I did edits in just random layers on the program, and it ended up not working. So the layers got lost and mixed up, and and so you can see there's a spot of gray
Right.
there in the wrong spot, and there's just a bunch of different like problems with it.
So it's not perfect.
No, it's not close to perfect. So I had to end up restarting.
So you restart, you get rid of this
Yep.
and you start over.
I just start over.
That seems exhausting.
It was
No.
frustrating.
I bet.
But at the same time, it was good because it was getting irritating to have to find which layer what's in, and so I ended up restarting and labeling each layer and making a separate layer for every edit I did. So
well, let's go to the next iteration. Okay. So my feeling here is the blue really starts to make it connect.
yeah. So that's what I was looking for, something to draw it all together and make it look like it's not just pasted in.
What was some comments you got about this one?
I think everybody liked it. The shape is definitely off just because of the canvas size that I had.
Okay.
The volleyball has 2 pieces on the top and the bottom that just look out of place.
Okay.
So in the last one, I edited those out already, so I needed to do that again. They didn't like the background of like the inside of the volleyball where the Lancaster is coming out of.
Okay.
It looks like it's the wrong color.
Okay.
So it doesn't really fit with the rest of the volleyball.
In terms of the shading of the volleyball.
Yeah.
You got to have a good eye for this, hey?
Yeah.
Did you find it helpful to have many people come and have a look at this instead of just you?
Yeah, I was like asking people in the hallway like what they thought of it, things like that.
Yeah.
Like, just because I wanted people to tell me what they liked about it, what they didn't like.
So in order to get it to where you want it, you got to have your own say on it, but you also have to work with others, clearly.
Yeah.
This is a huge part of this process for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can we go to the next one? Okay, so now this is a bit, how are we doing here? How close are we to finished here?
I'm starting to get kind of tired of it. This, I think I've been working on it for about a month and a half already, every day during second period. I thought I was getting closer. We had picked out the right font, so in the top of this Girls A Volleyball, that's the font we wanted to use. That was a process as well, trying to find the right font.
Right. Because you're adding lettering now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I changed the color where the plane is coming out of the volleyball.
Okay.
Again,
Yep.
it doesn't look as nice. I don't like the way the color looks. It's different.
Okay.
And you can tell that it's photoshopped. I outlined the silhouette with black, and so it stands out a little bit more. And
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, I like that about it.
Excellent.
The Lancaster is bigger, which
Yep.
is nice.
Yep.
And yeah.
Now, this logo is going to go on banners that every team takes back with them, as well as all
Yeah.
the T-shirts and any paraphernalia from this tournament. So this is going to be,
Yeah.
there's going to be 500 to 1,000 iterations of this
Yeah.
somewhere out there.
Yeah.
Julia, this is really cool. Let's see the next one. So what's different about this one? I can see a few of the differences. One is you put Hamilton at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. There were no numbers in the font,
Right.
so that was a really big challenge. We had to try and find the right font to go with this one
Right.
for the 2015.
Okay. But you wanted to make sure that you're not just images, but you also have words to describe where this OFSAA event was held.
Yes.
Okay. And was that feedback from you? Was that your idea, or was it feedback from your friends?
Part of the requirements for the OFSAA logo was to
Okay.
have the date and the place in
All
it.
right.
So, yeah.
So you got to meet their requirements.
Yep.
Wow. Amazing. So how many more do we have after this?
I think there's just one more.
So the next one is the final draft. This before we unveil this is the one that's going to be official.
Yeah.
Are you happy with the last one?
Yes, I am.
Okay, folks. Let's unveil the OFSAA logo for this year's girls volleyball tournament. This is an amazing piece of work.
Thank you.
Give us some of the stuff that you're really happy about here. So we know, as when we come to this event, we know the heart behind the logo.
I'm really happy with the way the volleyball and the Lancaster turned out.
Okay.
Like, that's where your eye is drawn to.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing. So.
Yeah. I noticed the number isn't. I think the number and the font look like they're more matched.
Yeah. We changed the font around. Originally, the draft before this one, I had Hamilton and then 2015 because I thought that's the way you read it, right? Yeah. So that was frustrating to me when somebody suggested I do it the other way around.
Right.
And so I didn't really want to change it, but I did in the end. So, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
So.
Clearly, this looks fantastic. I can't wait to see it around the school and see it on
Thank
banners
you.
and stuff like that. This is an amazing logo. For me, just to watch and see the 6 images we just saw, to see the process from start to finish, the creative process, and how much work and energy it takes to actually get to this point.
Yeah.
Must give you an appreciation for people who are in design all the time,
Yeah.
who are working in design, web design, graphic design. Just, is this a future for you, or
Nope. Nope.
you found out what you don't want to do?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think the last question I've got for you, Julia, is, and it's a big one, so we'll play around with the question a little bit. But what did you learn during the process?
I learned a lot about my patience for things like this. I mean, for the first month and a half, I guess it was okay. It was going well. Then by the end, it was just little finicky things to change, just to fix up. Like I had to switch the Hamilton and the 2015 around, and that was frustrating because it wasn't just a simple fix. It takes you about half an hour to do just that.
Right.
So that was frustrating for me. I didn't want to go back to the art room and do that. I just wanted to
be done.
Yeah. So.
You had to start over at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the learning process there? What were you going through at that point? So you'd been working for about 6 weeks on this project, and you started over.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
That was frustrating because I had come so far with it and it had taken me so long. But it was kind of good at the same time because I knew about the program, and so I was able to do the edits that had taken me 6 weeks in about a week.
Right.
So that was really good, and I was able to organize it better and figure it all out.
So
which was nicer.
It was a necessary ending and
Yeah.
a necessary re-beginning.
Yes.
That's I think for a school that prides itself on teaching its students how to be resilient, I think you're an example of you can get it so far, and then in order to get it to be excellent, you actually have to work harder. You might have to start over. And I think it's a testament to the way our students work in this school. To get really, really good product, you have to work hard and get through some of these obstacles.
Yeah.
Julia, I'm very, very proud of you, and I'm very proud of the work that you've put into this. I'm excited to see this OFSAA event happen, but I think what we forget when these events happen is we often watch the athletes, but we forget the amount of work that happens behind the scenes to actually get to this, to have an excellent and exceptional event happen at HDCH. Thank you for your part in it, and thanks for sharing a bit of your story, your learning story.
No problem.
All right. Have a great day, HDCH, and I hope you enjoyed this version of A Word from the Bird.